An n8n account is super expensive. It costs around $50 a month. They offer a 2-week free trial period, but after that you need to pay. For Flowise, same story. An account with them starts at $35 a month and is still quite limited. But here's the good news. Both of these services can be hosted for free on your own virtual private server. Of course, you need to buy your VPS hosting and domain name, but it's far cheaper and you might already have that. Hi everyone, I'm Catalin, and in this video I'm going to go step by step and show you how you can set everything up and have a website, an n8n instance, and a Flowise instance, all hosted and managed by you on a server that you own and have complete control over. If you already have hosting, that's great. You can use this video to set everything up. If you don't already have one but want to get it, I recommend Hostinger. They don't sponsor this video, but I've used them for quite a while and they're great. They offer a 30-day money-back guarantee, and if you use the link in the description, you get 20% off their hosting plan. Alright, one last thing before we get started. I'm going to be showing you all the commands and code that you need. But if you don't want to type everything out and just want to copy paste it, I have for you all the commands and code ready to copy paste on my community over at school.com/BotTribe. I've literally just started the community there, and so I've set the access price super low. When it reaches 50 students, the price is set to go up. So this is your chance to get in on the ground level and grow with it. So check out the link down in the description. Alright, so with that said, let's get started. Now, here I am in the classroom in the school community, and we're going to go through all these steps and basically work our way through them and set everything up. So the first thing to do is to go through some prerequisites and some technologies that we're going to need for this tutorial. So here I have, for prerequisites, we need a VPS with SSH access, obviously. If you don't already have that, go to the link in the description. You will find there the link to get you 20% off for hosting your VPS. We also need a domain name. Now, me personally, I'm going to use my domain name at BotTribe.io. For you, you might want to create a new one if you don't already have one set up. We need DNS records, so of course if you have a domain name you will have access to the DNS records, so we can add and remove whatever we need. And we need a GitHub account. I'm assuming since you're into technology you already have that, but if not, go to github.com and create an account. For the technologies, we're going to need Node and Next.js for the website. We're going to set up a website as well. We need Docker for containerization. You don't actually need to know too much about this. I will go through each of these technologies step by step. I'll give you all the code that you need to put there, so you don't need to know too much about it. Git and GitHub, obviously, we will need that, but of course, I will give you all the commands that we need. And of course, Nginx for reverse proxy, again, configuration will be covered. The only thing that you do need is to actually set up. I'm not going to go through this setup because it's quite straightforward. You do need on the dev environment, so we have two environments, we have dev and production. For the dev environment, it's your local laptop. We will be creating our website and writing our configuration, and then in production we will actually be running our code, so we won't change any code in production, we will just run it, and we will not run anything in production, we will just write the code. Okay, so for the dev environment, in order to actually create our website, we need Node and npm. Now I have here two terminal windows. One is my SSH server. So here I'm in the /var/www with the root. Okay, so that's my remote, and this is my local. I have created this folder. You don't need exactly the same name. You can put whatever name you like. My site YouTube tutorial. So here I'm going to just paste this node v and npm v to get the versions to make sure that it is installed. If it's not installed for you, just go to this link. You will find there the installation instructions. It's very straightforward. You can just go ahead and install that. For the production server, I'm going to just copy and paste this just to make sure that we have everything installed. Again, if you don't have that installed, you have the installation instructions right here. So that's done with the first step. Now for the second step, we need to create our site on dev. So let me just copy and paste that. I'm going to hit, so just to explain this briefly, this will create a new Next.js app within the folder site. Okay, so I'm going to hit enter on that, and that's just going to take a second, and it's going to ask us a few questions. So TypeScript, we need that. ESLint, we do. Tailwind CSS, yes. For the source directory, no. For the app browser, yes. TurboPack, yes. And customize, no. So that's all very standard. Of course, if you're building your own website, you need to kind of choose these as you like them, but I'm just going to go with a default installation just to show that we have something there. And then of course you can build on that. So I'm just going to wait for this. I'm going to pause the video and we're going to resume when the installation is done on my machine. All right, so the installation is now completed and we're moving on to the next step. As you can see, they're quite easy and straightforward, right? So we need to create two folders, n8n and Flowise. So let's go ahead and do that. Make dir n8n and make dir Flowise. All right, all good. Now we need to create a small file so that GitHub will take these folders into account and upload them to GitHub, right? So we need to hit that. So touch n8n git keep, and same for Flowise. There's nothing there. They're just empty files so that the system can hold on to that. Now, for the rest of this video, I'm going to be using VS Code. You can use pretty much any editor you like. I just use VS Code because it's very easy, very straightforward. I just enjoy using it. So next up, we need to create a site.prod.docker file. This file will tell Docker how to start our site container. Okay, so let's just go ahead and create a new file here, paste that, and we're going to go ahead and copy everything, or you can just type it out if you like. That's all good. So we have that file. Now, moving on, we have the Docker Compose for production, right? So we have for production. You can create one for development if you like, but I'm just going to create the production version and hit that, and then just copy and paste everything. There we go. So I have that. Now let's go through this a little bit in a very high level detail. So here we have a few services, right? So we have the site service that will be exposed on port 3000. We have, and this is the folder for the site. If you chose a different folder name, make sure you update that. We have Flowise, which will be on port 3001, and we have n8n, which will again be on port 5678. Is the standard port for n8n. Now you will also notice that you have domain name. We're not going to change that right now. We will go through it in a second and update that pretty much everywhere because it's in multiple places, but just keep in mind that that is there. And then finally, the last service is Nginx, which of course is a reverse proxy server so that when requests come to our server, they can be distributed to wherever they need to. If you get a request for n8n.yourdomainname.com or whatever, then Nginx is the one that handles that transition and calls n8n. Okay, so you will see here the volumes and depends on and so on. So that's the high level configuration. Now moving on, we have one more file that we need to create, and that is the Nginx configuration. Of course, we need that. So let me just add a file here, Nginx, and let me just copy paste, and I'm going to go through this on a high level as well. So here we define the servers that are present on our site. So we have the basic 80, which is the HTTP traffic. We have the server 4, and this is going to be for our website. We have the one for Flowise, and we have the one for n8n. So that's all there is to it. Now you can see here we have domain name here as well. So I'm just going to copy that. Now I'm going to go to edit and replace in files. We have domain name because it was already in the clipboard. And here I'm going to type my domain name. You, of course, will type your domain name. So I'm going to type BotTribe.io. That's my domain name. I'm going to hit this button, replace everything. This should be about 17. And we can see that it has replaced it everywhere. So both on this file and on Docker Compose, you should have here the correct URLs. Okay, so that's all done. That's pretty much all there is to do for this particular step. So let's move on to GitHub configuration. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a GitHub on the local machine that pushes all the changes that we make on the local machine. It pushes them to GitHub. And then on the server side, we're going to take all those changes and run them on the production side. So on the dev side, we have the GitHub configuration. So here we have a site folder already. The site folder already has a GitHub repo. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my GitHub. All right, so I am here in my GitHub and I'm going to create 2 new folders, okay, 2 new projects, repositories. So one is going to be for the site. Okay, we don't need description. I'm going to mark this as private because it's only me that will access this. And we have created it. So we have this configuration here. We need to update this. Now, on the local machine, so on my terminal, where's my terminal? There it is. On my terminal for the dev environment, if I go to site, okay, and I type git status, you can see that we already have a git set up here. It was set up by the Next.js application, right? So all we need to do here, and we see that it's up to date. There's nothing to commit, so it's all good. We just need to just copy all this, paste it here, hit enter, and it will just upload everything to the server. All right, so that is done. If I refresh the page here, we will see that we have a repository. Now, for the main repo, for the main folder, it's slightly different because what we want to do is we want to have a main repo with a submodule that is this site, right? Since the site is going to be under the main repo, we want to have this kind of structure to make it easier for us to manage this. So in order to do that, we're going to create another repo. So let me just hit a repository new. So I'm here in the new repo creation, and I'm going to call this my site /YouTube-tutorial. So that's going to be the name of my folder. So let me see. Let me just copy and paste it. I think that should be fine. Okay, so that's all good. And then hit create repository. Now, we're not going to do the same thing because for now we don't have a repo for the root. So let's go to the root. So, right, so we are inside. Okay, so we are in the root. Now here, I'm going to go create a new repo, git init, git add everything. Then I'm going to just copy this initial commit. All right, now what we want to do is to set up that structure for a submodule. So in order to do that, we want to remove what's there on the site folder. Keep in mind that we already have the code over on the other GitHub repo. Okay, so we're going to just remove everything from the site. Okay, so if we list everything now, you can see that the site folder is gone, and we want to just grab that from GitHub. So in order to do that, first of all, we need to remove the cache as well. So hit that, remove site, that's fine. We're going to commit everything that is there already. So we have one commit before we add the submodule. Okay. We now add the submodule. Keep in mind that you need to update this site GitHub repo. Okay, don't hit enter yet. We're going to go to GitHub. We're going to go to this site repo. I'm gonna open this menu, and I'm just going to copy the SSH address, right? Don't copy the HTTP, copy the SSH. So copy that, go back and replace the placeholder here. All right, and make sure you have site at the end so that it creates the site folder. So it grabs that submodule into the site folder. So waiting for that to finish, and now if I list everything, we have site again. So that's what we're looking for. Let's go back. Now we're going to add the submodule to the .git modules file, and we're going to commit everything. So that's pretty much all there is to it. Now, of course, we haven't sent anything to GitHub, so let's do that now. Let's add this. Actually, I'm not going to go here. I'm just going to go copy it from here because it includes also my link to my repository. So just paste that, and everything should be uploaded to GitHub. It will take a second, but that should be pretty much done. If I refresh this page, we can see that we have everything we need, including the submodule here with the site. So that's perfect. That's exactly what we need. We can actually move on now. So moving on to DNS records. Now for DNS records, we need to update those DNS records for our site. So if you're on Hostinger, in your domain management under DNS records, you will find it here, and you have the option to add all those records. You might have already some some records by default that Hostinger adds for you. When you create that, they will have a different IP address, so you can just remove those if they conflict with the new DNS records, and you need to just add these. So you need to add an A record at and your IP. Make sure you add your IP here, right? So you have the domain IP. TTL doesn't really matter, just leave the default version. So we need an add, we need a www, n8n, and Flowise, of course. So we need all of these. So this is for the site, this is for n8n, this is for Flowise, and this is the default one. Okay, so replace your domain IP here, and then we can move on. I already done this, of course, so I have all the DNS records that I need. So that's the step. Go ahead and do that. Now let's move on to production. So this is where we actually get the code in production and start to configure production there. Now there's two things here. One is if you have a new server, you might not have GitHub access already to it, right? So I have a section, if you don't have access to it, go through this step by step. So you need to generate a key that will allow you to access GitHub seamlessly without using username, password, and so on. You need to generate your key. Make sure you update your email here. Then you would have this command to get the key, and then you go to GitHub to this address, and here is where you create your key. So if you go here, you will just create a new SSH key, and this is where you give the name, whatever name you like. It doesn't really matter, but this is important. You just copy and paste the key that was given to you by this command, and then you just test out the connection. So if I just copy this and go to my server, paste this, it should give me, you've successfully authenticated, GitHub does not provide shell access, blah, 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 blah. All right, now that is done. So once GitHub access is configured, you can just go ahead and clone the project. So we're going to have git clone, and of course you need the project repo. So I'm going to go to my repo here and then copy that, git clone, and paste that and hit enter. All right, so we have our GitHub repo on the server, but it only has the root folder, root project, not the site. So in order to get the site as well, we have fetch submodules command, copy that, paste it, and then you get an error because of course I need to cd into my YouTube tutorial, and then I can hit that and it will clone the submodule. So now if I list everything, I have the site. If I go into site and I list everything, I have all my files here. Okay, so let's go back to my site YouTube tutorials. So that's done for this step. Now let's move on. So main thing here is setting up Nginx. Now Hostinger, when you just create a new VPS, virtual private server, it will automatically have a system service that runs Nginx for you and forwards the traffic. But we don't want that service. We want to containerize it and have it in our project. So this step is all about disabling the default Nginx system. So check if it's running. For me, it's not going to be running because I've already disabled it. So you can see here that it is masked. So it's not going to be run. But for you, it might be running. So if it is, go ahead and stop it with this command, stop Nginx. And also importantly, we need to disable it on reboot. So if you restart the server, you don't want that service starting up by default. And then once you've finished doing that, you check the status again, you should get something similar to this masked and inactive in parentheses dead. So that's fine. I'm going to move on to the next level. Now, the next step. Now, in this step, what we want to do is generate an SSL certificate so that we give the browser the confidence that this is a genuine real site. The way this works is we have this certificate bot. It's completely free. What we want to do is we want to, first of all, disable any Nginx that we have, both on Docker and the default version, and then run this certificate bot installation and then use it to generate our certificates. We need 3 certificates. We need one for the site, one for n8n, and one for Flowise in our case. If you want more services, you will need to generate more certificates, but they are free, so it's not a big deal. Now, you can use this command to list all certificates. I'm not going to do that. I have other certificates on that server, but I'm just going to copy this and paste it here. Now, I've just noticed that I forgot to update this. So for you, make sure you have your own domain name. I will change this as soon as I finish recording this, but make sure you change that. For me, this is the command that I need. So I'm just going to copy this and paste it here. And that's going to generate all my certificates that I need. All right, so that finished generating the certificates. You can list all of them with sudo certbot certificates. That will allow the system to run HTTPS instead of simple HTTP and make everything more secure. So that's perfect. Now, next to last step, this is a very, very small one, but we need to change some folder permissions. This is because n8n in particular is very, very picky about its folder permissions. So let's just copy that. Make sure you are in the root folder because that's where the n8n folder is. And this is what we're going to update. And we need to just run this command and change the root permissions. Now I get an error here because I think /config is not yet generated. What we need to do is we need to, first of all, run our containers. This will actually build everything. It will generate all the files. They might get an error for n8n. We're going to go back to n8n folder permissions and rerun that. And hopefully that will fix everything. So now let's run everything. And this will take a bit of time when you first run it because it will build everything and run it up. So let's, I'm going to pause the video, come back when everything is finished. All right, so the installation has finished. Now, if you go and check this in the browser, let me go to BotTribe. So this, you will see that this is working. So for me, that is working. It will access the server and it will access the main domain site, and that's working fine. If you try flowise.bottribe.io, or of course your own domain, that will be working as well. But if you try n8n.bottribe.io, you will see this dangerous site error. And this is precisely because of the permissions issue, right? So let's go ahead and fix that now. Let's go back to the previous step. Let's copy these commands and paste them here. And then that changed everything. So now let's run the command again, docker compose, and hopefully that will fix everything. And if I just open an incognito window to bypass any cache and things like that, I type n8n.domain name and you will see that it now loads. So that fixes the problem. If I go here and paste it, maybe a command shift refresh, we need to get rid of the cache, but it should work fine after a while. So just remove all your cache if you have the same problem, and that will fix the issue that we have. So that's basically it for this video. This shows you how you can install these services on your own VPS. Of course, now you don't actually need to pay for these services. You can just use them and create your agents, you create your AIs and things like that. And of course, here you get the bonus of having your own website where you can promote your own work and hopefully get some traffic, some visitors, and eventually some clients if that's what you're looking for. All right, so that's all for this video. I want to remind you to check out the community on skool.com. It's super low price right now because I've literally just started it. I've created the community, so it's really, really early days. I haven't launched it officially, so it's going to grow a bit slow at the beginning, but I'm going to update it really, really often, and I'm going to post there a lot of information, courses, classes, and a lot more. All right, so check that out. Thank you for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.